everyone. I'm Joao. I'm going to be sharing the session today with Joe, and we're going to be covering some basics of how to interact with the command window, just to give you guys some sense of how to navigate through the system without using the user interface. Now we're going to start.
Joao, sorry, your camera is off. You can turn it on.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I had turned on. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. So yes, now you guys are going to finally be able to sit in public and pretend you're like hackers, because you're going to be moving in the command window. And okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And share entire screen. So can you guys see my screen? I'm going to be sending a...
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask you guys is to go ahead and download the Visual Studio Code. This is the IDE that we suggest for you guys to be using with us, but it's just a suggestion. There's like multiple others you can use. So yeah, maybe you want to go ahead and look for it and download. I'm going to send a link for this form so you guys can also have a complete list of the commands that we're going to be showing you guys today. And yeah, and then you can review those at a later time and use those for references. So I'm going to post a link for it in the chat, and you guys can access this document through there. I'm also going to post in the Everyone channel on Slack just for reference. Okay, yeah, so I see a few people starting to show up in the document. So yeah, the idea behind this session is just to give you guys a brief overview of the basic command and how to interact with the command window. So if you guys want to go and open a terminal window in your computer, I think you can use, if you're using like a Mac-based system, you can go in the apps and find it here. If you're using a Windows, I think you can press Windows and type CMD, enter. It should pop up as well. Linux, it should be visible in the corner because it's always shows there. So first things first, the language that we use to, let's say, code and pass instructions into the terminal window is Bash. So it's not the same thing as Python. That's a misconception I used to have, for example, when I started. So they take up a few different commands, and starting with the list, we're just gonna go and cover them pretty quickly, and then we're gonna have a hands-on where we are gonna actually do the execute those commands. So the first one is the dot, and that one represents the current directory that you are. If you type dot, it's not gonna do anything because it's not gonna recognize that. But that's useful when you want to say something like you want to copy a file to a different folder, and then you usually have to show the address of the places you want to do. So if you want to do that into the specific folder you are, instead of having to type the address to the folder you currently are, you can just type dot. But yeah, whatever. It's going to make more sense later on as we use it. The other one is the double dot. Sorry. Yes.
Can you zoom in a bit on the terminal?
Oh, yes.
And maybe the Google Doc if you can.
Yes.
Just a little bit. Thanks.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Yeah, sorry for that.
That's perfect, actually.
Okay, yeah. So, the other one that I'm going to show you guys is to look for the parent directory. The parent directory, it's actually the one that's right above this one. So I'm going to just show you. This one is my home directory. Is where usually you have your user, and then all of the folders that are pertinent to that user are going to be down this hierarchy, but you can change to another folder that's above that. So for that, we're going to use a command. It's actually like skipping a little bit ahead, but is the cd, which is change directory. and then you can type, for example, the double dot, and then you're going to move to the folder that's right above this one. So it's going to be the users folder. And yeah, so we're going to get to this ls real quick, but just to show that we have the João folder, which is the one that I was before. And when I type cd and then I say that I want to go to the parent folder, I moved from the home folder to that one. So I'm going to change back to the home folder, and that's one of the shortcuts that I'm going to show you, which is this tilde symbol. It's always going to change you directly into your home folder. So if you do this, you're going to go types of commands. So one example is that you want to show, or you want to copy some files that they have a specific extension that they end in JPEG. So if you're in a folder where you have a bunch of files of a certain extension, you can just use which they call this wildcard, which is the asterisk, and with that command you can search for a specific type of file within a folder. One thing that's important to keep in mind, in Windows it's a bit different, but Linux and Mac, they're composed of mostly two types of files, of two types of units of, let's say, of organization. So you have files and then you have folders. So everything is executed as a file. In Windows, for example, you have like executables and you have other sorts of extensions, but basically when you're thinking about a Unix-based system, you're thinking most in terms of files and folders. And that's usually what you have to know to navigate throughout the system. So I showed you the shortcut for the home directory, which is the tilde. And if you just type that in by itself, it's not going to like show you much. It's just going to show you the name of it. But yeah, we can use this for navigating purposes and always referring back to that home folder that you have in your computer. Another one is the clear command. Is going to basically just clear your prompt, but you still have all of that stored in the history command. So if you just type history, it's going to show you all of the commands that I executed throughout this session here. So it's an easy way to refer to it. There's also one that's right above it, which I kind of skipped, is the sudo command. The sudo is just to give administration permissions when you're going to execute something. So you could do sudo clear. It's going to ask for a password, which is the user password that you have. Oops, it looks like I forgot mine. And it's going to just execute the clear command with administrator privileges. And yeah, let's show the clear command. You have the history, and then you can delete your history by typing history -c. And then the C here, it's what we call a flag. So it's an option that you're passing into that command. So if you type history C, that option -c, okay, it looks like it doesn't work in MyZSH, but yeah, probably it's a Linux-based command. I haven't tested that one. Sorry for that. So, okay, you also have a list of directory commands. So those are related to the specific directories that you have in your computer. So one of them is pwd, which means print working directory. So it's going to show you the place that you currently are. So if I change to another one, so for example, I have a shortcut for a project that I work on. And if I type pwd, it's going to show me that I am in. Previously, I was in user João. Now I'm in user João research models NetPyNE M1PT sim folder. So I went down all the way down the hierarchy. So you can go and change cd above, and then I went from sim to the parent directory, which is M1PT cell. Again, cd ... NetPyNE cd ... But it's a long way to go all the way back to the home directory. So you can just type cd till, there you go, I'm back there. You can also use ls, which is going to list all the directories that you have in the current folder that you are. So I have, in mine, they show kind of color-coded. So I have a purple color for the folders, and then the files, they show as white. But you can see applications, desktop, documents, whatever. And then I have others, which are scripts, like this neuron, pyhawk.py, profile backup, and so on and so forth. So ls, you're just listing the files. And then you have other options. You can pass the flag to the ls depending on the type of information you want to see in those in that command. So for example, ls-alh is going to give you more info about those files. So it's going to show you the hidden files that you have. So those are the ones that are usually printed, and it's also going to show a list of all the files that we just saw with the regular ls, but it's also going to show you the permissions that you have. So they're going to show depending on the, I think it's owner, group, and then there's like the different preferences. But basically what that means is that it says that if you can read, write, or execute that file. So the R flag stands for it's a readable file, W for writable file, and then X an executable file. So that's something just to like keep in mind, because sometimes you try to execute a file or and run it, and it says it doesn't give the permission. So you have to go and look for a command to change that. The command is chmod, but we're not going to get too deep into that for now. I think I have it listed down the line here. So moving on, let's clear. Yeah, I kind of had to skip ahead and show you the cd command because it's very important for the navigation. So if you type just cd as well with nothing else, it's going to take you to the home folder. If you type cd in a folder name, you can also type tab, and it's going to list all the possible folders you can say. So I'm going to change to applications. And instead of typing applications, like applications, very boring, you can just go and press tab, and it's going to try to auto-complete that for you. cd applications. You can go above now. Let's try a different folder. So cd space ... You go above, you're in the home directory. So let's try cd space and then tab. And I'm going to go really quickly into that. And in the, I should have mentioned this. In the end, we're going to have a quick list of commands that we're going to all execute together. So don't be afraid if you're not being able to follow. It's more just to show you the different commands that we can use. So now I'm going to try a folder with a D. So I have two options, desktop or documents. So if I press tab, oh, and I also have downloads, it's going to eliminate all of those, and then it's just going to show me the ones that I want. So D-O, press tab again. Okay, so I can choose better now. So downloads. And then LL is going to list you all of the things that you have. But yeah, let's just go back. Home directory, and it's very polluted, so clear. Yeah, you can change to more than one folder at once with this cd and then the ... /... So I'm just going to show you guys real quick. M1PTC is a shortcut. So I'm in this folder here, and then I'm going to go cd ... /... So I'm moving 3 folders up, and I'm going to stop in models. So ... I ended up in models. Here, and another command that it's very important is to have being able to create a folder. So let's change back to our home directory here. So I'm going to make a directory, mkdir. And one thing that's very important is to avoid using spaces when you're giving names to the folders that you're using. So for example, if you're going to say test folder, you usually want to use a underscore to separate those words. And then mkdir, and then this is the name of the folder that I want to create. And if I go and list the folders, I'm going to have a new folder here, test folder. Sorry for the color, but yeah, it's right here. And you can create also multiple folders at once. So you can go and mkdir test 1, test 2, test 3, and then ls. I have all the 3 folders together here. Yes. Yeah, and if you want to create a folder with a space between the names, you can use the double quote. So mkdir, and then you can give a name. So test folder. That's something I wouldn't usually do because that might give you problems down the line. So just stick with using the underscore if you want to separate the two words within the folder name. Another very useful command is the rm, and the rm is going to remove a file or a directory. This later, test file. Okay, so let's say that now I have a test file that I just created. It's just like a random text file. The command rm is going to be useful to remove that file. So let's try and remove this using the rm. So you're going to go rm space text file, test file.txt. I press tab and it already auto-completed for me. Then if I go ls again, the file has been removed. Let's try the same thing with the folder. rm test folder. It's not going to work. Why? Because this is a directory. You cannot remove directory because within a directory you can have multiple files. So the rm command is not going to be able to execute it all that at once. So what you have to do is to use a specific flag. So for that, you're going to use rm-r, and the R stands for recursive. So what it's going to do is that it's going to get inside that folder and recursively search for all the files and remove them, and then delete the folder. So if you rm-r test folder, it's not anymore in the list. So yeah, just a quick tip with the rm command. They all are listed here. We can you can go through them at your own time and practice them. And yeah, just to give an overview. You can also make copies. So we're gonna make a copy, and because we're gonna copy a folder, we're gonna use the -r flag, and then you're gonna give the name of the folder that you want to copy, and then you're gonna give a new name for that folder that you're creating a copy of. So test one is the folder that I have, and then I want to create a copy of it, which I'm going to name test 11. And then when I look here, I have a copy of test 1 with test 11. It's kind of boring because we don't have any contents within those folders, but yeah, we could just go ahead and test 1, touch sample file. We're going to make a sample file within that directory. So we have this txt file, and then we're going to go back to the home folder, clear everything, and we're going to make a copy of that test folder with the sample file within. So cp-r test 1, and we're going to give the name test 111. And there it is, the test 111 folder. And then when we clear, and then when we change directory into the test 111 folder, then we list the files. We also have a sample file within that test 111. So just a brief overview of the cp command. We also have the move command, which you can move a specific file into a directory. So let's create another file here. Just touch the command here. I think I have it listed down here. I should have put it in the beginning, but yeah. The touch creates sample file 2.txt. Okay, and then I want to move this one, so mv, and then the name sample file txt, and then I'm going to say to which directory I'm going to move it. So I want to go above in the hierarchy, and so I use the ... So it means that instead of looking for a folder inside the test 111, I'm going to look for a folder in the home directory. So ... / and then when I press tab, I have this list of folders that I have within the home directory. And then I'm going to change it to test 1. I'm going to send it to the test1 folder. When I press enter, if I list the files that I have in the test111, I don't have the sample file 2 anymore. And then when I change the home directory / which I can use as well, test1, I have the sample file here now. I moved it from one to the other. So it's basically just showing that you can use those commands to move around the files. It's way easier to use the GUI, but yeah, the command window can also do all of those sorts of things. So any questions so far? You guys can speak. Yeah. And if I'm going too fast, you guys can just tell me, and we can try to slow down a little bit. So the chmod is basically to change the permissions that you have in the files. So if you go press ls-alh to see all the properties, you're gonna see that these files, they are readable and writable, but they're not executable. We can change them to an executable file, and I think that's the chmod 500 is gonna do that for us. So chmod 500. And then we say the name of the file, sample file2 txt, ls-alh. Now it's readable and executable. It's not writable anymore, so you cannot edit the file. But what you can do with it now is execute the file by itself. Not going to do anything because we don't have anything written within that file, but we just turned it from a readable, writable to an executable file.
You might want to tell them about change mod +X as well. That's easier to remember than 500.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, usually, yeah, you can use chmod +X. Then let's do it with the other one, which I misspelled there. Maple file txt, ls-alh. And now, yeah, in this case, it's going to do something that's a little bit different. Instead of just turning from readable and writable to only readable and executable, it's going to make it the 3 of them. It's going to make them readable, writable, and executable. And then from that, you can execute that file as well. So instead of if it was a plain text file, you will not be able to just type the name and run it. But now what you can do is that to run it as an executable file, you type // I don't know why, and then you just type the name of it, sample file 2 text, or execute the other one that we just have, maple file text. But they don't have any commands, they don't have anything within them, so it's not going to do anything with the terminal. Okay, we also have some tools for looking into the processes that we have running in the background of the computer. This is basically the same thing as if you guys are Windows users. When you press Control-Alt-Del and then you open the task manager, it's basically that. You just go, say pop, it's gonna give you all of the CPU consumption, list all of the processes that you have running. So it's good to know that sometimes you run a program and you don't know if it's executing or if it's soaking up all of your memory. You can just use this to look it up. And then the way to get out of the screen is to press Control-C, and then you're back into your home. And also within that, you can look for the PID, which is the process ID of the program that is running, and then you can remember that name, and then you can go and kill that. I don't have any one here that I could kill, but yeah, it's basically just to stop any process from running. For example, if you run something and then they are just stuck running, you can use those resources for it. Okay. Yeah, you also have search options to find the files within a folder with a specific extension. find minus name, and then let's look for the start.txt folder that I am, and minus name, which is the flag that I'm going to use. So I'm looking for the names of the files within that folder, and the extension that I want is ending with .txt. Try that again within a different folder. So let's go up and then look for the test111 folder. So yes, we're going to look for all of the files that have the txt extension within the test111 folder, which is, remember, one level above in the hierarchy within the home folder. And when we look for it, we're going to see the path to that folder, which is text ..dash test111 slash smapple file. We also have the grep, which is also going to look for parts of the strings that make up the name of that file you're looking for. Grep and upload occurrences, and then let's say, for example, we're looking for sample, and then I think I'm missing one argument. Inside. Yeah, sorry. Here. Yeah, let me just make something quick. Sample file txt. And then okay. It looks like that's why I told you, don't use Vim. You're just gonna make yourself suffer.
In principle, can we use any text editor
Yes.
we want? Yeah.
Yes, you can use any text editor. I was just trying to make up a file with something to look for using the grep within, and let's try to see if that's gonna work. File to.txt. Yeah, sorry. I'll have to look up better this command because yeah, I just messed it up. You can also use the command which, and that's going to show you the location of a given shortcut that you have within your system. So for example, one that's going to be very useful for you, which Python. So you want to know where is your Python installation pointing to. And then for me, it's going to give me user bin Python 3. So yeah, that's going to be very useful. I'm going to show you guys when we start building our first file. And you have some other ones, which is like cat, and then sample file txt. It's just gonna show you some of the content that we have within our file. Let's try to edit that in an easy way. And then the cat is just gonna print some of the lines that are within the file that we just edited. So yeah, that's basically it's useful when you want to go and inspect that file, but without having to actually go and open it. But yeah, it's all in terms of preferences and usability. We can do the same thing with less. And yeah, the last is gonna print, I think, yeah, the 10 last lines that we have in the file, because this one only has 3, so it's gonna just show this. And we can use also head. It's gonna do the opposite. Is gonna print whatever's in the beginning of the file. And yeah, I think those are some of the most important ones. And now changing back to the home directory, this is also something that's very important, is to be able to edit your bash profile. So this is going to be the file that sits in your home folder, and it's going to show you all of the paths that you have and some of the things that are executed as soon as you open a new prompt window. So I'm just going to show you guys. If I open a new one, you're going to see all of this print here. It might look like a bunch of like weird text, but it's actually the bash profile file being executed. So I'm going to show you guys this one, and we can use vim.bashrc. But not in. Remember to change to your home folder here. Make it bigger. So we go vim.bashrc. I'm gonna open here all of the contents of my bashrc file. It looks pretty ugly. I'm gonna show you guys how this looks in the VS Code, which is a little bit better. And because I have the VS Code installed, the shortcut for opening a file from the prompt into the VS Code is just code dot, for example, bashrc. And yes, just grab my window. There it is. And yeah, this here is my bashrc file. So this is something that's like highly customizable. So for example, I have some things here which are aliases that are kind of shortcuts that I gave to my command window, that when I say, for example, ll, it's going to execute the command ls minus alf. So if I go ll, it's going to do what I taught you guys with the ls minus alh. So yeah, it's highly customizable. It's a matter of preference. And sometimes you have to add some things, for example, to your path and to your Python path, so that the applications, they are going to work properly. This is, I think, is the case for NetPyNE. So I have my NetPyNE added into my Python path, and I also have that for my Neuron installation. So depending on the things like the Google Cloud, which is something that I use as well, it's also pointed into my path. So if you see somewhere, oh, you have to edit your path variable, this is what they're referring to. So code bashrc. It varies a little bit depending on which system you're using. So for example, in my case, I have two. I have this, and then I have a bash profile. And the bash profile, basically what it does is that it invokes the bashrc and then executes whatever is in the bashrc, and then it creates my bash profile. And if you see, for example, all the printing, I'm echoing my path. So let's close and open a window again, just so you guys see. This is my path being printed in the terminal. And then I also said where I saved my latest installation of NetPyNE. Okay, it's a fixed address, but yeah, it's just to remember me what I had that installed. So those are things that are highly customizable, and just to make you guys more familiar with the interface itself. Okay, yeah, that was a bit rushed. I hope you guys could understand a little bit as we were going through. And what I want to propose now is to do a quick exercise just so we get a little bit more familiar with using the command window and executing those commands. So if you guys want to try to follow along, and we're going to go very slow pace, just so everybody has the chance to go and play with the terminal window.
João, what do you suggest for Windows users? Some of these commands are tested and they simply don't work in Windows.
Yes, and yeah, that's a bit of my fault, because I should have clear it's CLC in the Windows. It's gonna work, but I'm not completely sure about all of them. I'm gonna look for them, and then I'm gonna add them to the list later today. Does that work for you? Yeah, I can try to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I should have added those.
I think there's also, like, you can download a terminal that's like a Unix emulator for Windows, like.
That's what I was just looking for. This should be exactly the same.
Citrix or
well, you don't.
No, wait.
There's also the
Somebody's got
Windows
their hand up.
subsystem for Linux. Windows has a built-in subsystem for Linux that you can enable if you. Basically, if you go on the Microsoft Store, you can search for Ubuntu, and you can enable Ubuntu within Windows, and then you have a Bash terminal with all these commands that work.
Oh, too cool.
Oh yeah, the get thing. Yeah, that's a great suggestion too.
Actually, if there's the only thing that you want is just go surf between your folders, you can use the PowerShell for Windows. It's kind of the same. You can use the same commands like ls, cd, or such, and it's kind of the same. But the best way is to use the Unix application that you can download freely from Windows 10.
Yeah, I quickly Googled a list of equivalent commands. I'm gonna run them through and just make sure that it actually matches. But yeah, I posted in the chat if you guys wanna at least have something in hand for now. Okay, so I want to propose you guys follow along doing this activity, which is basically just run some of the commands. So you want to go ahead and pop up a terminal window in the back. I have it popping here. Okay. Okay. All right. So you guys want to go open it, and we're just going to follow along, starting by ls, just looking at the files that you have in your current folder, and then also test the ls -alh to give a list with more complete descriptions. And hope you guys followed along with that one. So yeah, let's skip ahead and clear this window just for practical purposes. We also want to change to the home directory. So this one is not fun. I mean, already in the home directory. So from another directory that I currently am, cd home. So we want to make sure everybody's doing the same exercise in the home directory, just so when we create the folders, we all can refer back to the same place. So make sure you cd home, and then you see maybe a tilde showing up in your screen. And we're going to try to make a directory. So mkdir test _ folder, and I removed mine. So yeah, test folder ls. Folder's right here. And let's change to go inside that folder. So cd test folder. We are in there. Here. We're inside the test folder. And yeah, this is the command that I should have added to the list on the top there, but it's the touch. The touch command, mkdir, you use to make folders. Touch, you use to make files. And you can basically give them any extension that you want. So It can be a .txt, .py, and so let's start with the .txt. So I'm gonna give the name delete me .txt. And we're gonna also make a folder within this folder. So remember, if you should have changed to within the test folder, and then inside that folder, we're gonna mkdir and me2. So ls, we should see a folder, and we should see a file. Keep in mind that the folders, they show with this / on the side of them, showing that they have something you can look inside of them. Now we're going to remove them. So as I showed previously, you can use the rm to delete files, rm delete me.txt, and yeah, start typing the name, and you can try to press tab to autocomplete. And so ls again, the file is gone, and it's not going to work in the folder because they say rm and me2, which is the name of the folder, is a directory. So it's giving me that the type of the entity that I'm looking at, it's a directory. So remember to use the -r flag, recursive. And when you look again, there's nothing more inside that folder. So we're gonna go and make another one in mkdir new folder. We're gonna change inside that new folder. So cd new folder. So if you look at our path, home directory, test folder, new folder. And within that, here the terminal, I'm gonna ask you guys to try to open the Python within your computer. I assume most people, they should already have the Python already installed by default, especially if you're using a Unix-based system. So try to go and execute the Python -i command. Should pop up a window like this one, and whatever you had as a header of your command window, it's not going to change to 3 forward arrows. And this is an indication that you are within the Python and programming interactively within it. So this is the version 3.7.3, and you can start to do operations within here. So you can go and declare variables. So a equals 1, b equals 2, a plus b equals 3. I in range and
you're missing the in.
I think we usually recommend using Ipython for interactive, which gives a bit more flexibility to do this stuff. So if you put the I in front, is also, when you run Python, Ipython, it's a bit easier.
Yes, go for I in range and print I. So you can do all the basic operations that we usually do within the Python. And yeah, to get out of it, you just press Control-C and then Control-D. So you're going to quit from the Python interactive mode and be back into your terminal window. But
you can also just type exit, so you don't have to remember Control-C, Control-D.
Yes. And there you go. And yeah, so what is the advantages of using that? You can use that for fast debugging of the code, so you can execute the code stepwise, and then you can go over and then try to look for bugs, for example. Or if you want to do just a simple operation, like instead of opening the calculator of your computer, you want to add 2 numbers, just open the Python -i, and then you can put things there. But the problem is record keeping. Everything that you you typed in there, it's kind of lost unless you go in and you copy it back here, or if you make mistakes like I made here, you're not going to be able to just edit them and rerun the whole thing again. So for that matter, we resort to writing scripts. So the scripts are basically the recipes of the codes that we want to execute, but then we save them in a separate file, and that file, it's what we're gonna invoke every time that we wanna run a sequence, run a program with a sequence of commands. So make our life easier, let's make a script. So go back to the touch command, and we're gonna create a my script. So this is the name that I'm giving to mine. I'm gonna call it, let's give another name because I already have a file with that one. So first script.py. Then if I type ls, I'm gonna see that first script.py here. If you already have the Visual Code, Visual Studio Code installed, you can go ahead and type code first script.py, and it's gonna run a command that it should pop in your screen as a Visual Code interface. So this is what you should be seeing: a file with a first script. So and then we're gonna give a command to our first script. And one thing that I want to show is that we're gonna go back into our terminal window first, and then we're gonna use a command that we showed previously, which was the pwd Python 3. Oh, sorry, not pwd. It's which Python 3. And that's gonna tell us where is the shortcut for our Python pointing to. So we're gonna copy that address. We're gonna go Control-C, and then you're gonna put that as the first line of your script. And why is that important? Because we're gonna try to make that script executable at the end. So we have to show to the computer which program it is gonna use to execute that. So we're gonna put hashtag exclamation space, and then we put the address to our Python. And that's the first line. It works only in the first line, so it has to be the first thing you put on it, and it's what the bash interpreter is gonna look for when it opens the file to try to run it as an executable. So we're gonna put that here, and the first thing we're gonna add is echo. Sorry, not echo. I'm gonna put a print.
Joao, we have like 25 minutes left of the session, so we can give Joe a bit of time for the other parts. You can finish up in a couple of minutes. This has been super fantastic, and thank you so much.
Yes, so yeah, we're gonna save the exercises that we had like for later on. So yes, let's just put printing, coding is awesome, and I'm gonna show you guys how to run that. We saved the script, and then it was Python 3 -i, and then the name for the file that we have. You can press tab, it's gonna autocomplete. First script.py, coding is awesome. And the last step, we're gonna make that executable. So chmod plus x. Yeah, let's first show you why. ls minus alh. It's only readable and writable. So let's use chmod plus x, and then first script.py. Now we made it executable, ls minus alh. So you can see that it's executable now. So if you type // first script.py, it's gonna print that for us. So we made our first program. that concludes it. Yes, and if you guys want to learn a bit more about it, or if you're just picking up, you can talk to me. I can give you the other 2 examples that I provided for today. And sorry for taking too long. And yes, I'll hand it off to Joe now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was super useful. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. So I put some links into the general channel of Slack for Colab and GitHub. And these are also going to be, I pinned a few things to the channel. So if you click the pin in general, you'll get the link to the calendar, the Google Meet link, and the Drive, which is where I put the cheat sheet in the Git book as well. So you can always find those in the future in the pinned part of general. For now, let's just click on that first Colab link. Oops, and that's opening up over there. I'll have to open up here. So Colab is, it runs on Google Cloud, and it's just a Jupyter notebook that runs in its own Linux environment. So when you go to Google Cloud, they give you a computer that has Linux on it, and you can run all your stuff directly in the cloud. And we'll use this during this first week, we'll mostly be using Google Colab to do all our work. And then we'll transition into more programmatic stuff later in the course. But for now, if you've never seen a Jupyter notebook before, it's just a collection of cells. And cells are either made of code or they're made of text. So this first cell up here, if you double click in it, you can see that this is the text that actually makes it look nice. And it's in Markdown. So there's a lot of little shortcuts in Markdown you can use to make this look nicer. So example, a single £sign will give you heading 1. If you do a double £sign, that'll be heading 2. Triple £sign, heading 3, for example. And when you're done and you want to see what this looks like, you can't hit enter because enter is just going to move around in the box you're in. You have to hold down shift and hit enter. And then it'll run that Markdown language and present it. Okay, so you can, and this makes for a great way to do lab notebooks, especially when you're working with code. You can put in some text to explain what you're going to do. You can put in some code and run it, show examples and everything. So yeah, let's shift enter in there. Then it comes on to the next, and below this text cell is the first code cell. And I'm already connected up here. You can see I've got a little bit of RAM and a bit of disk space. If you don't see that, you want to click the down arrow and go ahead and click connect to hosted runtime. And that'll spool up a server or a computer on Google Cloud for you to use. I'm going to shift enter in this text cell. The last link is also going to the. Okay, I'll fix that afterwards. It's in the drive for the class, the book and the cheat sheet, so you can find it there right now. Okay, let's do one thing before we and everybody has Google Colab up. Wave your hand if you don't. Thumbs up or all right. Okay, somebody does not. So if you're having a problem, speak up. Otherwise, I'll slow down a little bit here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, anytime, please. Anybody.
Put my come on. I have a Conda environment set up on my Linux OS with Neural and NetPyNE already installed. Would you recommend that I follow you on Colab anyway, or should I use Jupyter in my own?
You're welcome to use Jupyter on your own right now, but we're going to be using Colab for the first week of the course, so it might be a good idea to get used to it right now. Okay. And then later in the course, we will get you everybody installed on their local machines, and we'll do virtual environments and all that stuff a little later.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So one thing we're going to do in here is we're going to go to, you can see that here's a code cell, but it's already got the output printed. So we're going to click on Edit, and we're going to click Clear All Outputs, just so it all disappears and we can see what this looks like when it's brand new. So yeah, under Edit, I'm going to go all the way down to Clear All Outputs. And yeah, now you can see we've got this code cell without any output after it. So yeah, here we say a equals 10. So this is just running Python in a Jupyter notebook. So we'll hit Shift Enter. We assign a equals 10, and then we say what a is, and it comes out with 10. Fantastic. And then in text cells, as we talked about, you can double click inside it, and then you can start editing these text cells. The pound signs do headings. Anything surrounded by double asterisks is going to be bold. Anything surrounded by a single asterisk is going to be italics. You can also use latex, so on and so forth to do nice text things in here. And you can also move cells up or down. So if I'm in this cell titled Adding and Moving Cells, if I sort of hover over the bottom of that, I can add a new code cell or a new text cell underneath that. So there's my new text cell. If I don't want it, I can just hit the trash there. And you can also move them around here. So if you want to move that cell above the one above it or below the one below it, you can shift it around in space. And again, so this is just a Jupyter notebook. So Python running in a Jupyter notebook. And it's got some examples here. Okay, so then as Joao was showing us how to move around the terminal, underneath this, this notebook is a terminal running Unix that you have access to. But where you are right now is in a Python notebook. So all the commands you enter will be in Python. To make it clear in here that you want to execute a command in the terminal, like at the command line, you have to put an exclamation point at the beginning of it. So I'm just going to do let's undo that. I'm going to add a new cell under here, a new code cell, and I'm just going to do an asterisk or a exclamation point PWD, Shift Enter. And you can see I'm in a place on the Google Cloud called Content. Let's see, let's add a new code cell, and we can, for example, we are just making directories. We can make dirt Joe, and then we can add a new code block and do ls. And now we've got sample data in here and Joe in here. Okay, so you've basically got your own little computer, old little Linux computer running on Google Cloud that you can do all this stuff in. And we're not going to get into this more complex stuff on the Jupyter notebooks yet. We are going to make our own right now, and then we're going to get it into GitHub so that we can use it to keep notes and everything you guys do in the following session with Robert. You can put directly into this notebook, save it at the end, and you'll have all the information you got during that part. So let's go up to File, New Notebook. All right, and I've got an untitled notebook here. I'm going to call it NetPyNE Course 2021. That's where I'll keep all my stuff for the course here. Let's just, the text blocks came below the code, so I'll move it up. Yeah, it's a nice idea. Oh, hold on, cancel. It's a nice idea, to put some text in your notebook. So go ahead and put a title in. We can call it NetPyNE Course 2021. Working with Colab. Yeah. So we've got the text, got a text cell at the top now. And yeah, so the very first thing we're going to do is that right now our computer is clean. It has no real software on it. So we're going to install Neuron and NetPyNE right now so that we can play around with them later. So it's very easy to install in Python. And again, we need the exclamation point to say that it's a system command. So we're going to do exclamation point pip install Neuron. Shift enter. And on our Google Cloud machine, this is now downloading Neuron and installing it using pip. And it's done. Fantastic. We've got Neuron now. So now we should be able to do, for example, which NRN IVMODL, which is the script we use to the program we use to compile files for use in Neuron. And yeah, we can see, sure enough, Neuron's been installed. We've got that now. So now let's make this a text file and move it up. And we'll say just text. That's not what I wanted to do. Double click in here, delete that. And then we'll say install. And for this, it's exclamation point pip install NetPyNE. And then shift enter. And it's going to collect all the NetPyNE dependencies and install all those. I'm just going to edit this right now. You know, kind of keep notes of what you're doing, installing Neuron. This heading 3 as well. And okay, we successfully installed both Neuron and NetPyNE. So now we can say import Neuron, for example, in Python, and that works. Import NetPyNE. Great. So we've got these our 2 necessary packages installed, and we can access them in Python. So now, when I started as an experimental neuroscientist mostly that did code to play with my data, or simulations to play with my data. And until for years and years, I just had code everywhere, and it floats and it changes, and you branch on your own, and it ends up everywhere. That's a terrible way to do computational neuroscience. The really good thing to do is to use code repositories. So you're constantly checking your code into your repository so that every change you make is recorded. And if a month from now you realize a change you made broke something, you can go back and find that. So yeah, if it's not in a code repository somewhere, it's not ready yet. You can't even share it with anyone. So we're going to use GitHub also. So when you start working on your projects, you can push them to your GitHub repository. And when you say, oh, I'm having a problem with this, could you help me out? I'll go to your GitHub repository and I'll clone your code to my machine, and then I'll run it. And you know, if I have changes to suggest or make, I can make those changes and push it back to Git, which you can then get again. So it's good for storing and tracking code and changes in code. And it's also great for working with multiple people on the same set of code. Okay, so we're gonna get this into GitHub now, and it's pretty easy in Colab. Okay, so we're gonna try it without making a repo first to see what happens. But if we go to File, we can go to Save a Copy in GitHub. And I already connected my GitHub to my Google Colab. So, but yeah, a pop box will come up that'll say, do you want to allow Google to have access to, Colab to have access to GitHub? And I do. And yeah, this is the problem I thought, is you can't create a repo during this. It has to already exist. So I'm going to cancel this. And we're going to go to github.com. And yeah, hopefully you all already have a GitHub account. If not, you should really get one, because if you want to share code with tutors and everything, this will be the best way to do it. So yeah, so I'm in my GitHub here, and I'm logged in. So I'm going to start a new repository right up here on the left. Click New. And I'm going to call it NetPyne course 2021. I'm going to make mine public. If you're shy, you can choose to make it private, but then you'll have to share it individually with anybody you want to have access to it. I'm not shy about my code anymore, so I'll just make it public. It's always a good idea to have a README file in your repository. When people first go to your repository, it's nice if your README sort of explains what's going on. This repository holds my project. This project does this. To run it, execute these commands. You know, that way, and it's nice to keep that updated constantly as you move forward with your code. It tells you how to run it, and it helps everybody else. That's all we're going to add right now. We're just going to create that repository. All right, and I've got a quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before or created a repository in the command line. Okay, and we are going to eventually okay, give me 1 second here. This didn't happen before when I did this. Okay, here we go. Oh, no, excuse me. We don't have to do this because we're pushing it from Colab. That's why I didn't have to do this before. So yeah, so if everybody have a new repo set up that they can push their code into, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. All right, looking good. So we're going to go back to our Colab here, and I'm going to go File, Save a Copy in GitHub. And here, now my NetPyne course 2021 shows up. So I want to put it there. And yeah, the main branch is the only branch we have. You can name it whatever you want, but this is the name of the file, so we can do that. Commit message. And you want these to be brief, but somewhat informative. So I'm going to say I initialize the repo added course file. And I'm going to click OK. And great. So it brought me over to GitHub here. And I'm in my NetPyne course 2021 repo already. And normally it'll show Jupyter notebooks, but it doesn't here. But if I go up, I can see we've got that README we added, which right now just has the title. We haven't added anything more. And we've also got this, the file from our Google Colab Jupyter notebook. It's not coming up, but we can click on raw to see what it looks like. This is what a Jupyter notebook. And if anybody needs to interrupt me for anything, please do it verbally.
Joe?
Yeah.
Just a question. Should I need to put my repos in public mode in order to be able to upload it from Google Colab, or I can do it in private also?
I'm not totally sure. I do all my stuff public just because it's easier to share. I think you should be able to do it private, but I'm not totally sure. Give it a try and let us know.
Right. Thanks.
Yep.
Just to add, I've just did that, and it asks the pop screen asks if you allow to access private repo as well. So I believe.
Oh, great.
They were.
No, okay. Thank you.
Okay, but yeah, so now we are in our GitHub repo, and it's got these. It's got our file in it. Okay, so now we can share this with other people, and they can use it and everything. And yeah. Okay, and so it's 3:15. We've only got a few minutes left here. But we've got Neuron and NetPyne installed. We've got it in GitHub. Yeah, let's make a change real quick. Here, let's say from Neuron import H, which is a pretty standard thing we do. And now let's try pushing it to GitHub again, just to make sure we can get that change. So I'm going to save a copy to GitHub, my NetPyne course. It's the file path. And again, your commit message, you're going to want to make it brief but informative. And I'll just say added import H. Okay. Great, and that brings us back to our repo here. And now let's look at our commits. So these are the changes we made and we committed. They're in for good now. And we can look at those and we can see, that initial commit. Then we initialized the repo, and then we added this line. So yeah, so now with this basis, you should be able to do Colab stuff to run NetPyne and Neuron. Oh, it's going to be Neuron. Robert's going to be coming up next, and he's going to be using Google Colab to show you guys how to do basics of Neuron, which is the simulator underlying NetPyne. Yeah, I don't think I have time to really add anything else. I was going to also show you how to do this programmatically from the terminal, but we're not going to be using that this first week anyway. So I will add that in a later session where when we get into terminal and doing it from the command line and more of that stuff. Then I'll get into how to use Git programmatically. Any questions or comments? I saw something pop up on Slack. Oh, Javier. Oh, Deep Note. Okay. We'll have to check out Deep Note. Nice.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So what is I don't understand, why would you use Colab as opposed to the terminal? Is it just because the markup makes it easier to read?
Okay, so Colab is a Jupyter notebook. So I think your question is, why would you use a Jupyter notebook instead of just Python and
right?
Okay. So for student projects and for anything you're going to share with other people, especially if you want it to be interactive, these Jupyter notebooks are a great way to do that. So not all the tutorials, but most of the NetPyne tutorials, I've also now gotten into Jupyter notebooks. And that way you can open up the Jupyter notebook and you can read the text, and it's got the commands you have to run. You run it, there's more text. It's like a way of keeping notes and figures and everything all in one place, rather than having a separate a lab notebook that's a doc or a Google Doc or whatever, where you have to copy and paste code and it doesn't run, and any figures you got to put in. This is like a more interactive way of doing it. I don't do, for my day-to-day work, I don't really work in Jupyter notebooks because I don't have to share much of my day-to-day work. For that, I'll use just Ipython and VS Code or Sublime or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And also
that makes sense.
By using Google Colab, we ensure that everybody's on the same page. So you're using exactly the same code with the same underlying setup, so we're not messing around with different setups in Windows versus Linux versus whatever.
Yeah, the Google Colab version of a Jupyter notebook in particular is ideal for classes like this, because everybody has the same computer and everybody can install everything the same way, and it just makes it much easier for the course organizers also. But we will get you all going with Neuron and NetPyne on your own machines as well, so don't worry about that. All right.
Okay, so thank you so much, Joe. Oh, sorry.
Another question? Or?
Yeah, sorry. If you have time, can you show me that GitHub portion once again? I'm unable to pull it in my Git.
Yep, so we're in, if we're in the Colab, then we can go File.
Okay.
And then we want to go down to Save a Copy in GitHub.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I think we'll have I'll have Salvador to introduce the break here.
Joe, did you say there's a place where there's a listing of step-by-step so that people can just, who missed something, can follow that?
I tell you what, I will post this notebook myself. So I'll edit, I'll clean it up a little bit, and I'll share that.
And we'll also post the video, of course, later on.
Yeah, of course.
So you can. Thank you so much, Joe. That was great.
Yep.
And we'll be back at 3:30 with Robert McDougall on Neuron. Thank you.
All right. See you guys soon.